long walk. I'm a little out of breath. One. Okay, good.
We're good. Hello, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. What's your name?
My name is Patty. Patty?
Patty?
Yes, sir.
Oh, Patty, is it? Well.
Yes, indeed.
Are you Irish?
I'm a Celtic mutt.
Uh-huh.
I've got green and the UK and the Brits and the Celts and the Welsh and everything in between that sounds like.
It's the good Isle to be from, you know.
Well, there are worse ones. There are worse
Okay.
ones indeed. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
My pleasure. I'm loving it.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, formal introduction, please give it up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm here all day. How's your steak?
So, if you like, we could just open up straight to the questions?
Yes.
Absolutely. All right, folks, we have a microphone right on up here, so please go ahead and line on up. I just will request, please, that one question at a time, and please don't make any requests, and don't whip out your cell phone and ask for personal endorsement or anything like that. Otherwise, I shall have to give you the X.
Got it. Hi, I'm John. I just want to know what it was like playing some of the most iconic villains in all of cartoon history. You got to play Ming.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
Ming the Merciless. You know, that was
Yes,
fantastic.
I stole that from myself.
And
You
then,
notice a similarity between Ming and Skeletor, don't you?
yes, of course. And then I loved Overlord and Black Star. And of course,
That
we
too.
all love Skeletor.
Yes.
But what's it like playing and bringing these characters to life?
What's it like bringing it to life? Wow, that's a great question. In the first place, you really don't know what you're going to do until you see the cell. You know what the cell is, the drawing. And that really dictates which way you're going to go. So I looked at this cell of Skeletor on the audition, and I saw the bony head, you know. So I think, well, make him nasal, because the voice can bounce off the bones, you know. So that's how it got up in here somewhere. The laugh was not written in the script originally. He was really a villain the first couple of episodes. I don't buy that. I always try to find humor even in the most tragic circumstances. So I just put in the laugh, and whoa, all of a sudden they said, well, we're going to write for that. So that's how that came about. Now, you know also that I played Merman.
So Merman is in the water. That's why he talks like that.
And you know Cringer. Well, Cringer's a coward, so it's like that. Kind of a similarity I stole again for myself when I did Fraidy Cat. It's all the same thing. So what else did I do? Man at Arms is just my own voice. Heroic man of arms. Okay? Thank you.
Do we have
Next.
another? Red shirt, go ahead.
First, thank you for coming and for all your hard work over the years. You just talked a little bit about, for a lot of these characters, going by the features in the cell. And I know you did a lot of wonderful voices on Transformers. What was it like coming up with voices for them, since as machines, a lot of them lacked a lot of human features?
That's another very good question, and it's the same thing. I took the name Beachcomber, so I made him kind of a hippie, you know. And then Warpath was easy because I just did George C. Scott for that. You know.
That's right. Come on, let's go get him. Yeah. Bam. Who?
That was easy. Who was the other one I did on that? Sea Spray. I stole from Merman, you know.
He's in the water all the time. He has to talk like that.
That's how those come about. You're allowed to plagiarize yourself, but I won't stand if you do it.
Understood. Thank you, sir.
We never saw Ming and Skeletor in the same room at the same time.
That's right.
Cool. How was the director, boss?
Thanks. I was just curious, what project specifically that you can remember that as you were working on, you felt like, man, we really have something here. The kids are going to love this.
I felt like that when I was doing it. I never thought 30 years later they'd resurrect this and we'd have conventions and that these characters would be famous. They're worldwide famous. I took a trip to South America in '07, I think, and we were in The first place was Santiago, Chile. So we had a car and driver and a guide. So the driver says, what profession? So in Spanish, of course. So she said to me, what movies have you been in? So I named some of my movies, which she tried to translate into Spanish. He didn't mean anything to him. I said, well, ask him if he ever watched cartoons. He said, yeah. So I went, whoa. We hit the curb. Same thing happened in Buenos Aires, different driver, same question, same reaction. By the way, I get fan mail from all over. I got one last week from Hungary. I get a lot from England, Scandinavia. So he's kind of famous all over. Also, Falkor from Neverending Story, very popular. And I love Falkor. I also did the rock biter in that. So I finished doing Falkor, and Wolfgang says to me, that's fine, good. Oh, could you do the rockbiter? Let me see it. I knew exactly what to do, which is, this quartz is so good. Again, just taking it off the picture. Thank you, I said, Wolfgang. He says, wait a minute, there's another character, Gamork. So he showed me Gamork. So that is a villain, the wolf villain coming out of there. So those are all dictated by the content of the cartoon. I don't make them up, they come to me. There you go.
I know you were in the original Westworld. What is your take on the new Westworld
I
series?
don't watch it. There's no similarity. I mean, they took the title, but what the hell else have they got? I mean, the original Westworld's a wonderful, wonderful movie, you know.
Michael Crichton's debut.
Hi, yes. I would just wanted to know who would be, out of all the characters you voiced, who would be your favorite, as in, which was the most fun to voice?
A lot of it depended upon who the co-actors were. I did the Smurfs for 9 years, and we had a great cast. I did Vanity Smurf in that. And we had a great cast. Paul Winchell, Jonathan Winters, Mel Blanc, all of them. And that was great fun because there was so much interaction and ad-libbing going on, you know. So much so that Gordon Hunt said, can we just get on with this? Johnny Winters came in the first time he did Grandpa Smurf, and we couldn't get started. He did a 20-minute ad-lib improv for all of us. So the next week when he came in, after 10 minutes, Gordon cut him off. The third time he opened his mouth, Gordon said, we don't have time. So we just got on with it. But I love doing that. And of course, He-Man, Masters of the Universe was wonderful because, again, we bounced off of each other. John Irwin, who will not come out to a convention, he's very shy. That's why he's very shy. He said to me, well, I don't look like He-Man. Yeah, no, who does he play? He-Man, yeah. I said no, and Christopher Reeve didn't look like Superman. But everybody knows that. Well, I'm not going out, no. But if he did, the line would be out into the street now. But we had a good time.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, you got a reward, huh?
Yeah.
Nice.
Hello.
Hello there.
I know you mentioned being Falkor. When you saw, if you saw the huge puppets or any of the models, what did you think when you first saw them?
Okay, this is what happened. Wolfgang came to Los Angeles to audition people for the voice of Falkor. They'd already filmed it, you know, but they didn't have the voice of me. All the others were live people. Noah Hathaway did a Trejo and so forth. So he showed me the picture, you know, and the script. And when I saw that, it was just like Skeletor. I kind of knew a voice, kind of a sweet, kind of guy.
Right.
So he says, well, that's fine, good for... They took me to Munich to loop it. They'd already filmed it. So I watched it, you know, and I put a voice to it, the voice that you hear, except for one thing. The first day we finished, he said, well, that's very good, fine, thank you, go. I said, wait a minute, let me have a playback. And he did, and I said, I have to do this again. Really? I said, yeah, it's not right. Okay, we come back tomorrow. I did it the second time, and that's the version that you see. The difference, the first time it was technically correct, without heart. And that's what you see in the second take. Falcor's humanity, his heart, his relationship to the kids, all of that, and to Atreyu. And I said, that's it. That's the one you want.
Thank you so much. I just finished reading the book, and when I read the Falcor parts, I just heard your voice.
Oh, God. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good catch. Do we have any?
We have the lady over here.
All right. Yeah, see the wings.
Oh, God.
She's going to flutter her way over.
She's going to flutter in.
Here, I'll tell you what. I'll come to you.
I was wondering, and have been since the 80s, basically, since Skeletor has no soft tissue, was part of the creation of the voice thinking that it was almost something that would be heard in both your ears and your mind? Because I can't think of any other way besides some form of magic to create a voice without a tongue and lips. I was wondering if that went into the process.
Well, that's why I made him nasal coming off of the bony face. You said something about soft tissue?
Mm-hmm. Things like tongues, lips.
No, I didn't care about that because the jaw just went like this. That's all I had to match was that.
Nice.
Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go. Thank you.
By the way, when do you molt?
We don't have any microphone. If I could ask, what was it like working with Mr. Crichton on Westworld, the original?
Oh, he was fantastic. He was fantastic.
Because he was like just out of college. He was this young kid.
He was a doctor, you know.
Yeah.
He went to Harvard Medical School and never wanted to practice medicine. He started writing. And I know when I met him on this, there were 3 scientists. And I read for him, and he said, well, I think we'll make the 3 one, and I won't hire the other 2 people. I said, that's good.
That works.
But Michael Crichton was very special. He was not only tall, but he was brilliant and a sweet man, Died much too young.
He did. We don't have another one. How about this? When did you first meet Lou Scheimer? And that, because you guys had a partnership, of course. That.
Well, that's an interesting kind of story. I went and read for Lou for He-Man Masters of the Universe, and he said fine. He and his partner, they hired me. I've been working for Lou for about 2 years, and I noticed he had a class ring on his finger. I said, where's that from? He said, Carnegie Tech. I said, no kidding. So was I. He was there at the same time I was. He was on the 2nd floor. I was on the 1st floor. We never knew each other. We also found out that at different times we dated the same girl.
It's a small world.
You bet.
Yeah, lady, go ahead.
Hi, hello. I have a question. Maybe it's a very obscure one. What was it like doing the voice of Merlin in the anime series The Legend of Prince Valiant?
Oh, I loved doing Merlin. I really loved it. Ephraim Zimbalist and...
You had the voice actors of Beast and Belle. I believe Jodie Benson was in it.
Yes, he
Sounds right, yeah.
Yeah, but who played the woman, English actress? She was marvelous. The Queen, I don't know. Anyway.
Oh, Guinevere.
Yeah, who played that part?
Ooh, that just flew out of my
Whoever can look that up on IMDb will get a piece of candy.
Wonderful, wonderful. I loved Merman because he was kind of pompous, which I used to tend to be. He was British, kind of British and pompous, and had all the answers to everything. And Ephraim Zimbalist used to tease me all the time about my pomposity. And I said, well, that's what they're paying me for, Ephraim. I love doing that. We had a great cast. We had a lot of fun doing it. And we had a lot of wonderful guest stars, too. Tim Curry, a few other people like that. Yeah, wonderful. Oh, what's his name? A famous singer-songwriter guested on it, too. Short fella.
Paul Williams.
Who?
Paul Williams.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Rainy days and Mondays. Thank you. Whoops. Who's got anybody else? Oh, we got it. Okay. If it wasn't taped down, I'd just move the microphone over there.
Run around the crowd with this. Yes, longtime fan, first-time visitor. Big fan of the old school Gamera series. So, of course, you know, you were one of the few fluently English-speaking characters in the film, I believe. So
yes.
Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that for us.
I can. It was my first job, so to speak, in voice. I was in New York, and I'd worked with another fellow in musical comedy stock, and he was hired for it, and they needed 3 other actors to do this one scene, the science scene. They'd already filmed it all in Japan, and then so he brought me in for this. Surprised the hell out of me. You know, I totally forgot about it until people like you said you did Gamera. And yeah, I really ought to look at that. Is it any good?
It's probably the best one of all of the series. I'll give it that.
Okay, I'll get a copy.
Yeah, you need to pick up the Blu-ray of that one.
Thank you. Thank you very
All right,
much.
who
It was
knows?
a real surprise, though, when it
knows the Mr.
survived. Probably
Gamera is
because
really
of me, though, huh? But thank you.
Oh, nobody at the mic. How about this? You did an episode of the Jimmy Stewart Show.
Yes.
Yeah, what was Mr. Stewart like?
Just what you know. Exactly.
Exactly.
He is what you see.
Yeah.
He had a series, Jimmy Stewart Show, and I don't remember what I did. I know I worked with him. We had a great relationship for that week. He's just a real warm, lovely guy. I had the same relationship in the Doris Day show. Well, they're different people, by the way. And I did 2 Doris Days, and she was another one, just really warm and wonderful. I worked with George C. Scott on the Hindenburg movie. There was a prince. Boy, did I love that man. And my first movie, big part, was with Julie Andrews. The movie was called Star. And I played André Charlot, the French impresario, on that.
Yeah.
I did the original Freaky Friday with Jodie Foster and Barbara Harris. Oh gosh, I don't know. I've done a lot of pictures. Oh, I did the movie Pryor's last movie, Moving. I'd never seen it, but I thought I overacted like hell. Anyway, we were on a flight, and they were showing the movie Moving, and I said to my wife, "Oh God, I'm so terrible, but I can't walk out. We're 35,000 feet."
We're glad you didn't.
So I watched it. I said, "Geez, that was pretty good. I was kind of funny in that." So I'm glad I was a captive audience.
Go ahead, young man.
Hi, Alan. Huge fan. It's an honor to meet you.
Thank you.
My question is, I know you've done a ton of Comic-Cons, and I've heard on various podcasts and news interviews that you've done that you always talk about your fan experience of how you connect with the fans. What has been the most powerful fan experience that you've had going to these shows? Do I get my candy?
Yes. Well, I gotta hear the answer first. Oh no, I'll give you credit. All right, there you go.
Well, you know, that's a question, that answer, and I will try not to weep because that's been my experience on that episode. It was early. It might have even been the first time I worked with Mike Broda, who's a promoter on this, in Miami. And 2 separate young men in their 30s came up to my table, different times, different days, and told me how the moral at the end of He-Man Masters of the Universe had a profound effect on their lives. And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, separately they told me this. They were 6 or 7, 8 years old. They were contemplating suicide. And there was a moral at the end of the story, which they took to heart. And they grew up okay, and here they were in their 30s coming to see. I can't get through it. There was another experience where 3 Argentine men came up to the table. This was also in Miami. And they said that there was a moral at the end of one story that if you get separated from your family, stay still, they'll find you. Well, they were hiking in the Amazon, and this kid wandered away, and now he started to try and find his family, and he remembered that. He stayed there, and 2 hours later, his dad found him. So these 3 guys came to the convention, too. Those are the 3 highlights. There are others, but those are the things that, you just don't know. You do a voice, you get paid, you go home. You don't know that it's going to have a profound effect on people's lives. So I guess that's the unexpected reward of all of this. And this fan base, which is extraordinary. Thank you for coming. Yes, sir.
Hi, Alan, and hi, Patty. First of all, thank you for kind of officially, unofficially, I don't know, blessing me and my fiance with Skeletor's blessing and all, so thank you.
October, huh?
Yep, October.
Don't walk out. You can walk out afterwards, but not now.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
Oh, she'll track him down. I know her.
Yeah. But what I was going to ask is, since I noticed at your table you had some stills from, pics from Hogan's Heroes, what was it like working on that show, and do you have any great, backstage stories of hilarity that happened offset that we need, that would be just great to hear about?
Well, I think I did 3 or 4 Hogan's Heroes. I played Nazis in 3 of them, and then one of them, Feldman, who created and directed it, he wrote one for me for the last season where I play an American actor pilot who's shot down, and he's just so full of himself every time he passes a mirror. And when they bring him into the concentration camp, he says to all the fellows, "Oh, hello, chaps," which really endeared him, of course. I had a great deal of fun with that. I still see Robert Clary once a week. We have lunch with a group of guys. He's the last surviving member of the original cast. He's 93 or 94 years old. He was a survivor of the concentration camp himself, a real one. He's a great guy. I do a wonderful French accent. All the time, he says, "You have a marvelous accent." I said, "Yes, I do, and no vocabulary."
Cool. Yeah, boss.
Samantha Egger was
Thank
Queen.
you. That's it.
As
I knew
well.
I was in love with her, but I couldn't remember her name.
You get 1 for the answer. All right, and
a lot of
notes your
good
question.
talent in that cartoon. Ron Perlman, Jonathan Rhys-Davies, James Avery. There's a lot of good ones in there.
Yes.
My question was, though, how did you feel about Frank Langella'z interpretation of Skeletor in the film?
Oh, I was hoping nobody would ask me that question. I've known
See, this is
Frank.
why I wanted to meet you before. I would have said no questions about that movie.
I have known Frank since the 1950s. We even worked on stage together. He's a damn good actor, but he's no Skeletor. What he does is very good, but it is not Skeletor. If you're listening, Frank, take that to heart.
And that's not on him. That's all. I mean, I like Dolph Lundgren.
We can't do everything. We can't do everything. I can't do what he does.
Yeah, Dolph Lundgren tried to be He-Man, and
No.
let history decide. You want to know? Go
It
ahead.
should never be live anyway. It should be cartoon. This is not a piece of work that can be translated into real lives. No.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I thought of another question picking back on the fan interaction. What would be the weirdest fan interaction you've ever had, out of curiosity?
Probably you.
Probably. Yeah, sure.
Oh, come on, the butterfly girl.
I'm taking her home.
Whoa! Howard Duck's going back. Okay.
I noticed that you have worked with Betty White in the past. I want to see if you have any interesting stories. And also...
oh, wait a minute. Let me recover from that. Oh, God, do I adore that woman.
And when you see someone that you know like that, who is so mature, experienced, and experienced like a renaissance and almost a second career, does that fill you with pride and things like that?
Fill me with pride over
Yeah.
my second career or their second career?
Well, just that it gives everybody hope that just because you're not in your 30s, you'll still act and.
Oh, it's wonderful when it happens. It's very hard on women. When women get to be 30 or 35, they throw them aside. Now, Betty's extraordinary because, of course, she's a comedian. She's not a comedian, she's an actress. Very good actress and very funny. I'll tell you, when we started doing that, she came in and she called me Mayor Titwillow. And so everybody giggled. Oh, I'm so sorry. Let's do it again. 3 times. Mayor Titwillow. I knew she was doing it so I had something for the Christmas reel. But we had a lot of fun. And there's a scene where we're in bed together, Well, we just giggled our way through the rehearsal. We could hardly. She's wonderful. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Mr. Oppenheimer again. I met you 6 years ago at Florida Supercon. Anyway, I was getting my Hindenburg DVD copy signed by you. I joked since the Hindenburg is a disaster movie. Have you been in any movies you consider disaster movies and that they were terrible? And you mentioned that you had made 3 lousy direct-to-video films in Romania.
Oh God, Trancers. Trancers, yes. Disastrous.
Were they the worst acting roles, acting experiences, filming experience you've ever had? Those?
Oh, I just hated the whole experience. It was made, the damn thing was made on the cheap, and they treated us cheaply. I hated doing it. I couldn't wait to get out of there. And it went direct to video, thank God. Never went to a movie theater. If I could get the copy and burn the damn thing, I would.
The guy that wrote Trancers 3 is downstairs.
Oh, good.
Peter.
Well, you give him my regards.
Okay.
You're the only person who ever brought that up, and I forgive you for that.
Well, so we don't need the mic. How about this? When you look back, is there a non-animated role that you look back on the fondest?
Oh yeah, I did. First place, I did theater for years.
Yeah.
I was in repertory theater for 10 years before I ever went to California, and then when I was there at the Music Center in the Mark Taper Forum, I did 10 plays there, and in the summers I did 24, about 25 musicals up in Massachusetts. I've worked a lot. But I did all the sitcoms, in the 60s. My first guest shot role was on I Spy. So the morning after it aired, I played a Russian spy, kind of a counterpart to Culp and Cosby. And the morning after it aired, CBS called Sheldon Leonard, who produced it, and said, write a special episode and bring him back. So they did, and about 4 weeks later, I did the episode, and now that character was featured. So when I did, I did the series Murphy Brown, and I was nominated for guest star, Emmy for guest star. And so was Sheldon Leonard. He was also an actor. So I went up to Sheldon, and I said, do you know, Sheldon, my first guest starring role was on I Spy. He says to me, well, Alan, you almost had your own series. I said, what do you mean? He says, well, they were going to spin you off into a Russian spy, but at the last minute, because of the Cold War, they decided they shouldn't do it. Well, I'm very glad they didn't, because the problem, and I told my agent I didn't want to do a series, because if you're a success in a series, they don't want to use you for anything else. They think the audience only does. And if you're a flop, They don't want to use you. They think it's your fault. So I said I'd rather just do guest shots. And that's what I did for years, and I made the right decision, I think. Yeah, had a variety instead of being... As a matter of fact, right after that I Spy Russian episode aired, came back to me a year or so later that, you know, the big producers and directors, and they were at a dinner party, and somebody said, well, who's new in town? They said, oh, this actor, Alan Oppenheimer, he does Russians. That would have been the end of it, you know? So I made the right decision. Yes?
I agree. Peanut Gallery? No. She coming? No. Oh, yeah, all right.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
I'm good, too.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Patty. So you have spoken about so many roles that you've played as an actor, but there's one role that you played that's very close to my heart, and I haven't heard you talk about it, in The $6 Million Man. How do you feel about your work in that show?
Well, I like doing that a lot. Dr. Rudy Wells. And I'll tell you a little anecdote about that. We had a great director one episode, Virgil Vogel. He was kind of like a John Ford, no shit kind of guy, you know. So I was rehearsing the scene, and I was acting up a storm. He said, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm trying to put something into this. He says, it's exposition. It's shit. Just get through it. I did what he wanted. It was the best I ever did the part that week. Exposition. Just get through it.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Here you go.
You earned a candy. Anybody else want to earn a candy? Here's a fellow.
All right. What? Oh, no, you're good. I won't. You don't do that, and I won't make fun of your hat. Deal?
Deal.
Deal.
It's not so much a question on your career, it's a question on something that I've grown up with that I believe you may have grown up in your time. What was your favorite show growing up as a kid?
Well, I watched radio. There was no television when I was growing up.
Perfect. So what was your favorite show?
So is that the end of this question then?
Yeah.
You know, I had favorite radio shows. I used to run home to listen to them the same way you people ran home to watch TV. I watched, Don Winslow of the Navy. You probably never heard of that. Lorenzo Jones.
That one I have heard of.
Amos and Andy. All the great radio shows. Sunday night was Jack Benny, Burns and Allen, all of those great comedians. Yes. Yep. So that's how it started for me, because I found that I could imitate voices, and that's how it started. And I used to do Jack Benny all the time, you know. As a matter of fact, Vanity Smurf started as Jack Benny, and, I really was doing that as Vanity, and then it descended into, oh gosh, I'm so pretty, aren't I?
How old are you, Vanity? 39.
That's right. As a matter of fact, my wife gave me a 39th birthday party, and we knew John Williams' wife, who knew Joan Benny, and so she told Jack's daughter that I was a big fan. He sent over an autographed picture, which I have on my wall, to Alan, I hope you stay 39 as long as I have.
That's a good one. So, well, we talked about the live action stuff. Would it be safe to assume that Skeletor would probably be your animated role you look back at fondly?
Mm-hmm, yes.
Then what was the second one then?
Falcor.
Okay.
Which are the two most popular ones, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did one that I loved, and the series didn't go anywhere. Are you any familiar with the series The Wuzzles?
Fans.
I did Rhinoki, Rhinoceros Monkey, and that only lasted, 10 or 11 episodes, but we loved it. What a great cast. Artie Johnson and oh, God, brilliant people. Brilliant. It was wonderful. Disney. But the toys weren't ready, so they canceled the show. I'm serious about this. The gummy bears came out at the same time, and their toys were ready. So Disney stayed with gummy bears and canceled the Wuzzles. It's all about merchandising.
Black Star had the same problems, as
Yeah.
I understand, because the character was supposed to be African American, and I believe the network balked.
Really?
Yeah, so he was at the last minute. He was changed to Caucasian.
Not Black Star, but White Star.
Yeah.
Stupid.
That's the craziest. What? You still work now, obviously. What?
No, I'm really retired.
You're retired now. Okay.
Yeah,
Once in a blue moon, I see your name popping up on little smaller projects and stuff.
My name's still popping up?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I want to know who the hell's using my name.
All right.
I'm not getting paid for it.
All right. Somebody called SAG. Okay. What? Is there something? What's been your favorite stage experience then?
Oh, that's quite vast. I was the last big stage thing I did was you all know the musical Sunset Boulevard. I did that 3 years with Glenn Close and Betty Buckley. I played Cecil B. DeMille. So we did it 1 year in L.A. and 2 years on Broadway. That was wonderful, boy. I just love doing musicals. I can get to the theater exhausted, and when I hear that overture, boy, I'm like a firehouse dog. I can't wait to get up there. I love musicals. And as I said, in the summer, I did about 24 3 seasons of musicals in Beverly, Massachusetts. Worked with some great people, including great stripper, Gypsy Rose Lee. She did Auntie Mame. But the second act, one night, she came out and did her cabaret act. We just stood there on stage. The audience loved it. When she was finished, then we went back to the script. She was terrific. And I worked with a lot of great people in musicals, too. I love musicals. So I'm retired now. This is my life.
And we're glad you're spending it with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, the Princess Wave's coming up.
Who be this?
So now I want to know what your favorite musical is.
My favorite musical.
Not necessarily that you've been in, just in general.
Well, I went to see Les Mis early on, which I loved, and Kinky Boots, I love that. The Drowsy Chaperone, I love that. I went to see My Fair Lady in New York last month. It's at Lincoln Center. No, it missed for me.
Have you seen Chicago?
The movie's much better.
Have you seen Chicago?
Yeah, years ago I think I did. Good.
I got...
Hey! Were you in it?
No. I wish, but no, I'm not that great of an actor.
No, that's a great musical, you bet.
Oh, no, you get, for showing off the tattoo, you get 2. Yeah, tattooed princess, yeah, she gets 2. We have time, yeah.
Thank you again. I had a bit of a follow-up for something you mentioned earlier, that in the initial episodes, Skeletor was not as humorous, did not have the laugh. When you started kind of adding that, because as you mentioned, you like to see the humor in anything, was there a lot of pushback from the rest of the production staff, or was it something you were able, was it like kind of getting them to change that perception for the character? Was it difficult, or were they very amiable and able to work with you?
They loved it and jumped at the chance and began writing that way. In other words, I gave them an idea and they said, that's good, let's go with that. That's happened to me on various series. On Murphy Brown, too. I created the character there, and after the first episode, they said, oh, let's write for that. And good producers will take what the actor brings to it if it works, and then they'll write more in that vein and develop it that way. If you watch original early episodes of Gunsmoke or Bonanza, those actors had no idea what to do with those characters. They're very flat and they just sang the lines. As they got more familiar with the characters. They began to inject their own personalities and their own outlook on them, and it worked. Then they began writing for what those actors brought to the show, their personality. If you watch early episodes of Lucy, they were ready to cancel that show the first season. But Desi Arnaz was so persistent and all, and he had some kind of a financial hold on them. I don't know exactly what it was. And then they changed the format. Instead of her just wanting to be a part of Desi's act, they used her interacting with all these other people in real life situations, and that's why the show is so great.
And you worked with Lucille Ball.
I did. I did 3 episodes of Lucy, yeah. That was a wonderfully... Lucy had actually broken her leg skiing, so they wrote an episode where she was in the hospital, and her 2 doctors were Lloyd Bridges and me.
Wow.
So we were rehearsing. It was just terrific. And Lloyd and I were playing it absolutely very real. Lucy is, like this, which is wonderful. But Lloyd and I were very straight and serious. So just before the first taping, she came and she said, Lloyd, Alan, you have to bring it up. We have an audience here. You have to bring it up more. Lloyd's there, I'm here. We looked at each other and went like this. We did it the same way. The audience fell out because it's mic'd and there's screens there like it is at home. You don't have to shout to reach them. She didn't say anything for the second show. We did it the same way. It worked.
Less is more.
Yeah.
That's indeed. We got time for just a few more questions if anybody... Yeah, come on up. No, do we have the microphone up here if you want to come on up? Just get in there. Yeah.
Hello, Alan.
Yes, sir.
You've done a lot of great voice work over the years, but during your time behind the mic, have there been any line reads that you felt were just absolutely perfect, didn't need to retake it? You were just completely proud of it?
Would you rephrase that? I want to make sure I understood you.
During your time as a voice actor, were there any line reads that after you performed them, you thought, this is perfect, you don't need to do any retakes?
Yes. And they never asked for a retake. I told you about The Never-Ending Story when Wolfgang was satisfied and I wasn't. I've also done shows where I've said to the director, I'd like another crack at that. I think he says, all right. And I did the second take and I said, no, the first take was good. That was a piece of crap. He said, I know. So I asked for the second take and they gave it to me, and I was the first one to say, that's no good. Don't use it. He says, no, we're not going to. We're going to use the first take.
Right. Oh, and also one little fun fact. I don't know if this will really interest you in any way. There was this one movie that just came out recently called The First Purge, and one of the main villains of the movie goes by the name of Skeletor, which I thought was kind of interesting. But I didn't know what your reaction to that would be.
Well, first place, I don't know why they're not sued.
They might be owned by the same company that made the show He-Man, but
No, their Filmation is out of business. So this is a movie, and they have a villain named Skeletor?
Well, he doesn't have the same appearance as Skeletor. He's just like this villainous thug who just goes by the name of Skeletor.
I wish I was a lawyer.
All right.
I think they might have had to run that by Mattel.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, Mattel, I'm sure. They said, yeah, okay, give us $1.
All right, well-dressed young man, come on up.
Hi, yeah. A few years ago, you reprised your role of Skeletor for a promotion of a book of He-Man. You pop up saying, I'm in this book, I'm awesome, and also on a fan-made video called The Terrible Tree. Has it ever gotten a little bit harder to get back in the role of Skeletor, or it fits like a charm, fits like a boot still, or?
No, is it hard to get back into the role of Skeletor?
Yeah, reprise after years, or is it just easy?
No, I've never stopped being Skeletor. Does that answer you? I hope when I have my funeral, somebody comes out and does it.
Then I hope we never see anybody doing it.
Huh?
It's all good. Go ahead.
Hi, Mr. Oppenheimer. It's a pleasure to meet you. I have a question for a friend who could not come here today. He's one of your biggest fans. He likes the banter as Skeletor you would have with He-Man and the insults you would give him. So he was wondering, what was your favorite insult that you would give as Skeletor? And
I can't say it. It wound up on the cutting room floor. But it was probably MF. But anyway. So, but do you have a list of insults there? I'll read them for you. You royal boob. What else?
Your favorite is, I don't
know. I can't remember them all. But if anybody has any insults, I'll be happy to read them for you right now.
I want to say that
What did you say? You incompetent ninny. Don't take it personally, Buster.
Thank you.
Anyway,
Thank you.
One for you and one for your friend that couldn't make it. Now you give that to him. Because we'll be on YouTube. We'll hold it to you. We got time for one or two more. So, oh, yeah, come on.
Are these people with us? I haven't seen anybody come from over there.
Oh, they might be waiting for the next one.
Aha.
Hi. There have been several iterations of the He-Man franchise. Are there any other voice actors that have portrayed Skeletor that you would give a thumbs up to at all?
No.
No? I figured, but I had to ask.
As a matter of fact, I may go like that.
We have time for... Oh, yeah, gentlemen, yeah. We'll do two of you.
Star Trek anecdotes?
Star
Or
Trek.
Klingon?
Yes. Makeup.
That was pretty much it?
How'd
you get the part?
I think the casting guy probably went to the same university I did, I think, and that's why. But he knew me anyway. But Karath, with that big thing, that was a 3-hour plus makeup, 4 a.m. till about 7, and then an hour and a half to take it off again. It was, and very, very hot. It was in the summer. I hated doing it. But I liked working the show. I mean, I thought the people were wonderful, you know. But I'm not much of a science fiction fan, I got to tell you. There are certain writers, especially, that's okay. See, I'm not a space guy, you know. Some of the early Asimov and Ray Bradbury and those people, I love theirs because they're people situations. What's his name? Twilight Zone. Who
Rod
wrote
Serling.
that?
Ron Sterling.
Rod Serling.
You can't beat that.
Yeah. Isaac Asimov, Last Question.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, those people take a human situation, not a space alien situation, a human situation, and make it so damned interesting, you know. That kind of science fiction, if you will, I love. And I love to read that kind. I'm reading H.G. Wells now.
Yes.
Huh? How about that?
Yeah.
Yep, original stuff.
Thank you.
Jules Verne, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
All right.
Brilliant.
Hey, dude, come on up and you'll be our last question. So make it a good one.
Yes, hello, Mr. Oppenheimer. Huge fan of your work for several years. My question is, a couple of years ago, I believe, or maybe last year, at San Diego Comic-Con, Super 7 did an episode, a new episode of He-Man, and I was just wondering how different was it doing that as opposed to like the original series back in the 80s?
I did something for the San Diego Supercon.
No, I mean, Super 7 did an episode and had all the cast, including, I believe you, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly what it is you're talking about.
Was that for the relaunch of the toy line?
No, I think it was like a single episode for, yes, I believe for the limited edition toy line.
Yeah, because Super 7 got the rights from Mattel. They've sublet it out from Mattel to do the Four Horsemen sculpted toys. Yeah. So was there a short film?
Yes,
they
a very
that?
short
Okay.
episode.
I don't recollect it, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
No, it's okay. Thank you, man. That's all good. It's all good.
But you get candy anyway.
You still do. Yeah, we would try. Thank you so much for just spending this time with us here, and thank you so much for coming on out and visiting your fans and talking to us and sharing
Well,
these
I've
stories
enjoyed
to
it.
us.
You're all very interesting, and I loved your questions, too.
Round of applause for this gentleman.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You.